Welcome to Leadership and Learning. We're here again with my favorite interviewees, Dr. Tony Sorella and Ali Rodriguez from Kaveo Leadership. And we left off last time talking about leadership with resiliency as the key topic. And then we left a cliffhanger about the differences between managers and leaders. So we'll start off this conversation talking about the differences between the two and the definitions of them, and then get into delegation and how that plays a role in both management and leadership. So starting off with very just official definition by Dr. John Cotter, the overriding function of management, so any managers, is to provide order and consistency to organizations. So you're thinking the planners, the coordinators, the organizers, the very good data analytics folks, okay? And then leadership is to produce change and movement. So those who are looking into the future and strategizing and taking an organization forward. So in your experiences, both of you, with the Army and military in mind, have you seen distinct differences between a manager and a leader?
Tram, it's a pleasure to be back. Ali and I are always stoked to have a conversation with you. In the context of an officer from Ali's background in the Air Force and mine in the Army, we are generally expected to be able to fit in both roles, to be able to manage and lead. And to provide a bit more color to that, often we spend a lot of time as what we call a staff officer. And that's when you're responsible for an army of one, and that means yourself. And you have a little very stovepipe set of work, and you are, for all intents and purposes, a manager. You're managing a project. And the flip side of that coin is when you're in positions of significant authority, when you're in command of a battalion or a wing. And in that case, you are, by very addition of the role you occupy, you are a leader. You are expected to inspire, lead, and, to be fair, also manage as well. So the line is not clear. It can be a bit muddied at times depending on where you work or what position you're in. However, we are expected in our background to be both. And Ali, I think I know you have something to share on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tony. Tram, nice to see you again. Thank you for having us back. I view management as a skill, just like the quote that you just read. It is the ability to organize and to control and to do those things on behalf of the organization. And leadership is the more people-focused aspect, where you inspire, you motivate, and you corral and bring everybody together to achieve a common purpose. And so I feel like, at least in the military, my perspective was a good leader is also a good manager, but a good manager is not always a good leader. And so there is a distinction there. The one philosophy that was embedded in me, instilled in me, if you will, as a young lieutenant, was that you manage things, but you lead people. So there's a very clear distinction in my mind.
So you were just talking there about how not all managers can be great leaders, which is exactly what I'm talking about in my tech world, that not all tech managers are necessarily great people leaders, right? But in your experience, what have you seen as the gap between the two? If leaders have to be good managers too, so that means they have to be both skilled at technical abilities as well as their inspiration and their what we would call soft skills. But for the other way around, where is that gap when managers probably should not be people leaders or should reconsider at least?
Absolutely. So I like the way you frame that, Tram, because the most successful people leaders that I've seen are the ones that can expertly move between the two, who can manage and lead at the same time. However, I have run into many people, not too many, who are exceptional managers. They can work the hell out of an Excel document, manage a project all day long and into the night. However, they're people that I wouldn't trust to lead soldiers or anyone else. And that's the reality of life sometimes. That's the reality of organizations. There are people who are really good at managing projects, but as Ali said, you have to be able to lead people.
But an organization needs both, right? It's not like, oh, a manager must turn into a people leader. There's no such obligation or promotion as such, right? An organization needs both, wouldn't you say?
I go back to a manager, right, is someone who is adept and has the skills of managing, so organizing and controlling resources, not people, but all the things, the tables, the chairs, the money, all the things that an organization needs. So when a manager is placed in charge of other people, they need to be able to tap into some semblance of leadership skills to be able to motivate, inspire, build trust amongst the organization. So not necessarily, I believe all managers need some baseline level of leadership competency.
So there's that intersection in that Venn diagram. But again, not all managers should or can be people leaders. And those who are technically skilled, we need them in every organization, don't we? We need those technical skills.
Oh, absolutely. There are in the military and other places, and there are highly technical experts in the military. We call them warrant officers, and they have a highly technical skill set, but also by virtue of their rank and their position, they live in both worlds. They're expected to lead, but their primary focus is to have a highly technical skill set. They have to be able to do both. And to your point earlier, Tram, many organizations have an almost automatic model where you move from manager into leader. However, that can be problematic if the manager isn't given the opportunity to, or shown the relevant skills to lead people, as Ollie was talking about, as opposed to just the expectation that because they were very successful at being a manager or a highly technical project, that they are automatically going to know how to lead people. And also, to be fair, how to follow people, because that can be even more complex than leading at times.
Hey, Tony, I really like what you said. Expert, a subject matter expert, that functional genius that can code, that can do those things. We absolutely need those people. Now, the question is that brilliant mind, that technical ability, is it best used in that strength, or is it best used, organizing and planning and, organizing the work of others? Those are two different skills and they don't necessarily equate.
I would say where the person gives the most value is best for that person as well as for the organization.